Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Today I have an update for my Pan Matte Palette Mini Edition. So let's just start with the first palette. So I'll talk about the Becca Ombre Rouge first, since I have no new pan to show on this palette. I do have a little bit more progress, but it's just kind of the nature of these things. Things go in phases. So that is what the palette looks like right now. So as you can see, I don't have any new pan, but I do have a pretty good dip in that middle shade. I think I could hit pan on it really any day. The dip seems to be pretty low. The second shade is beautiful, but I just haven't been using it quite as often because it has a little bit of shimmer in it, and sometimes I just don't want that. I just want something more matte. And then the end shade, the really dark shade, is beautiful, and I almost wish it was a little bit darker, because when I'm trying to make some looks really dramatic, I find that it's not really pigmented enough for me to get the extra dimension, the extra depth that I really want. I wish it was like a shade darker. It would be perfect, because that's one of the things that this palette is missing, is something that's really dark. If I do a matte look with this palette, I will need to bring in something like a black to get that little bit of extra depth, because there just isn't enough in this. But this palette is beautiful, and I will say, from this challenge since the beginning of working on these three palettes, my opinion has really changed, and just with the constant usage, I've really actually grown to love all three of the palettes. So that's a good thing. I really like the Becca formula. I've been really eyeing the other eye palette they have. Don't need it, don't plan to go anywhere near it right now, but it's definitely like on a list for future consideration. The next palette is the PUR palette. This is the Soul Mattes palette, and this is become one of my favorite things ever, because it's an all matte palette and it's really matte. And it's been so helpful to have these shades to warm up any eye look and to really complement the Vice LTD palette. So I've been crazy about this thing, and I wish there was more palettes like this. And I find that this is just, it's different. You don't normally see matte shades that are like this. So since my last update, I have hit pan on one more shadow. It's a little tiny baby pan, but it's pan nonetheless. And I have expanded pan on some of the other shadows without really meaning to, but just sometimes when I pick up the palette, I will just end up using the shades that call out to me, so I will just end up expanding the pan. That's what's going to happen when you use a palette sometimes. So the other three shadows I don't really have any progress on. I haven't used them that much. And you know, having 3 shadows left to focus on is pretty good. The star attraction of this update is the Naked 2 Basics palette. I have been killing it with this palette, and I have really come to love cool toned shadows, which I should love, because as a cool toned person it makes sense. But I'm really drawn to warmer shades, and I love to wear warm shades, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But when I rock a whole cool toned, you know, from eyes to cheeks to lips kind of look, it's just so flattering, because everything is cohesive and nothing's fighting against my hair or my skin, and everything's working together. So I need more cool tone shadows more than anything. I've been like searching through my collection trying to see what I have that's cool toned, and I'm seriously lacking. So anyway, as of my last update, I only had one shadow left to hit pan on, and I have since hit pan on that shade. It was actually really easy to do so, because I did a couple cool toned smoky eyes, and this palette is really powdery, so using a lot of this shadow, it made it go by really quickly. So I love these colors. I'm not crazy about the formula, as I said before, because it's powdery. However, other people have said that their Naked 2 Basics palettes have been really more creamy, and I have had that experience with my original Naked Basics palette. So I'm hoping that I will be able to get a better version if I decide to repurchase it once it's finished. But what I'm going to be doing now is retiring this palette for the time being because I want to introduce a new palette. So I'm only going to be working on this palette till the end of the year because I do plan to wrap up this challenge because I'm going to be starting something else. So I've kind of mentioned things here and there, but I've decided to do alongside a pan that palette, so I'll still be panning a large palette, but alongside that I am going to do a project hit pan. So it's like this palette, it's just going to be a different name, and I'm going to be incorporating single shadows and shadows from larger palettes. It's going to be kind of a rotating thing. I haven't figured out all the rules yet, but it's going to be project hit pan. And it's going to be the eyeshadow edition because I might also do it some other powder products and stuff like that. I just think it'll be really fun. And I just want to give some of my other shadows and things some attention because when you do pan that palette and you're focusing on 1, 2, 3, just, you know, a couple of things, you're really neglecting the other products, in my opinion. There are some things that I haven't used in a very, very long time, and I try and reach for them when I'm doing like my makeup for videos and stuff like that, but there's only so much time I have to play around with things, and that makes me kind of sad because I love makeup, so that's my plan. Anyway, the palette that I've decided to throw in here to use is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Contour Quad in Sage. So I love Kat Von D eyeshadows. Love them so much. This palette is a little bit powdery, like the Urban Decay Naked 2 Basics, but I can deal with it. I learned how to make it work for me with the Naked 2 Basics, and I really just have to do my eye makeup first so that I can get rid of all the fallout that comes there, and it's fine. You know, you deal with it. So anyway, this is what this palette looks like, and I love it. So I'm wearing this on my eye today. There's not a whole lot of progress because I've only been using it for like the last week or so. I've been combining the white and the peachy shade together for a lid shade. It's not quite right because this shade is really too dark and yellow for me. And then this is pretty white, but this is better on its own, but I try and find that fine line to mixing them together. The gray I absolutely love. It's one of those beautiful sort of cool shades. It's just so gorgeous, and I just want to pair it with everything. And the green is different, and it's very powdery, and there's so much fallout, but it is gorgeous. So on my eye today, I have that green shade on my lower lash line, and then I have the peachy shade and the white shade blended, mixed together in my entire crease, and then the gray shade is on a little bit on the outer portion of my eye and a little bit on the outer portion of the lower lash line, and then I blended everything with the peach shade. So I really like it. I think it's beautiful. In case anyone's wondering what the highlight is, that is Road Stripe, of course, because it's always Road Stripe. But I really like it. I really like greens, and it's not a shade that I use often, and I also thought that the green would be a good partner for the sparkly green shade that is in my Vice LTD. So that was also part of the reason why I chose that, because I figured that the green would work really well. So that is everything for my little update. Make sure to let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I'm more than happy to answer you guys in the comments. I try and respond to things as quickly as possible. I do apologize if it takes me a little while to respond because sometimes I forget to respond to comments on a certain video and I jump to another one. For those of you who don't film videos, you can go to a video manager and you can go to a page where you're just responding to comments, and sometimes I will forget to select a video and it takes me a while, and I'm sorry. If I haven't answered your question, I really deeply apologize because I do try and make an effort to respond back in some way to everybody, and if I haven't responded to you, it might be because of your settings. I just want to say that I've noticed that with a couple of people that I cannot respond to your comments, like it won't let me. So when something to do with your account, and I don't know what it is, it just will not let me respond to your comment. It just gives me an error, or it just kind of refreshes itself. So it says like comment failed to post. Anyway, rambling here. I just wanted to tell you guys that in case you were wondering, I'm not purposely ignoring you. So that is everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It would mean so much to me. I am really close to hitting my goal for 2016. At the beginning of the year, one of my goals with YouTube was to hit 3,000 subscribers. and I am really, really close. So if you're not subscribed to me, if you could please hit that subscribe button, it would mean the world to me. And I hope I will see you in my next video. Bye. So let's just start with the next palette is the PUR palette. Almost dropped it. You know, I learned how to make it work with me for me.